Okay, hello everyone. Now this is take two. I think I got the technical issues figured out, so I apologize for that. I do hope that some of you will come back to see this now. So we're back live. I'm just going to wait a moment and see if anybody's actually watching this. So we had I had Jack Molan earlier on. And he's now traveling through Nebraska, so I can't get hold of him at the moment. But I think I did resolve my technical issues, which is incredible. So I do hope, I'm just going to see if anyone is around actually. I hope there is someone around actually watching, because this is just been a little bit annoying with the technology. Yes, Jenny, okay, it sounds great. That is wonderful. I've got Swarm 50/50. We're back, baby. Yes, we are. We are back. We are back. So I'm going to do a mono show, but I wanted to show you the beautiful footage I have. So at least you could hear the voice of Jack Molan before. And we should now be streaming fine. I've got two computers to take care of that instead of one. So I think what happened was the computer was a bit in an overload. Susan's also there. Still not getting anything. Just says waiting. Susan, I do think we are live. I can see it on my own screen, so we're absolutely live. It should be working. So let me just type in, because the others are seeing this. Susan, we are live for sure. Okay, I'm just going to type that in. So I think Heather's also saying that we are live. In fact, playback will be okay. Yes. Okay, fine. So it's very much working. Yeah, so this has just been a beautiful journey to Dutch Harbor. I just wanted to get the map here of the Aleutian Islands. You love Dutch Harbor, Meredith, that is great. So I hope you'll see this now, and you should be able to see this with no problems. What is interesting, as we were explaining earlier, Dutch Harbor is not known even by many American citizens. And it is such a beautiful part of Alaska. Everybody knows about the Grand Canyon, knows about Arizona and all the beautiful parks that you have in the United States, but very much welcome back, Christian. That's Amanda. That is great. So far I just see the eagle sound but no live video. Can the rest just tell me, are you seeing a live video? Because Amanda, you should be able to see the live video. I'm just going to ask a feedback from the others. Are you seeing the live video? You should be able to see the geological structure here of the Bering Sea and so on from a copy of Google Maps. So let me just wait a second. I have nothing. So Susan says nothing. Can anyone see something? So I'm going to try and see that. Yes, okay. Can anyone see something? Yes, refresh. So yes, they are. Okay, so fine. Okay. Good. Okay, so it's working. It's working. It's definitely working, and it should be working because I can see myself here on an external monitor in the screen, and it is going very smoothly. There seem to be no interruptions whatsoever, which is fantastic. I'm so excited to finally show this to you. So back to the Aleutians. They stretch all the way from the United States on the west coast. That's the east, all the way over to Russia on the west. Okay. So you see the chart, very good. And it's a very highly volcanic region. There are over 50 volcanoes there, and it's still very active. It is. Look at this deep ridge, and north of that you have the Bering Sea. And the Bering Sea is what Jack Molan was talking about, who's written this book, and we'll talk a little about. I will give the reference to his book, that you can't make this stuff up again. Okay. If I watch a video of this later, yes, it'll be fine, Susan. It will. It will. And it should actually work. It should work perfectly. Okay, so I will show you the beginning again without further ado. And I'm going to just be quiet because this speaks for itself.
You're going? Okay, we're here at the Dutch Harbor Airport on the northwest end, looking at a plane that just landed. Today's conditions are pretty typical Aleutians this time of year. We've got 30 knots, maybe 40
So this
in
is
the
about
gusts.
a 4-minute clip.
Blowing snow.
Jack talking a little
We've
bit
got,
about the
snow squalls.
environment
There's one
here.
going off behind me here as the
And,
ship heads out to sea.
It's just to
Just
give
had
you
a
an
big snow
impression.
squall come through. Just a regular, beautiful Aleutian day. This is the kind of conditions that just exist. It would be not unusual at all. Today we're going to be looking for some more eagles to photograph. The eagles, as magnificent as they are, they're totally amazing in this much wind. I've never seen them fooled. I've never seen them be where they didn't anticipate a gust. They can swing through a crowd of seagulls and they look like a bombing airplane as opposed to seagulls flapping around. It's really fun to watch them. With the wind out of the northwest like this, it's coming all the way from the Arctic, all the way from the ice cap. It's got a bone-chilling effect. I'm not sure it shows up just in the temperature. It makes it very conducive for staying indoors or behind in a heated truck. But you can see, there's fishing boats coming in from making trips. This is actually the richest fishing port in the USA, one of the richest fishing ports in the world. It's almost an unknown thing to most USA folks. Christian and I have had 3 really good days here. This will be the windiest and actually probably the bitterest cold, but we're adapting to that. There you go, Christian. What do you think of this stuff, huh?
So you could see me walking over.
Well, look at him. He won't wear gloves.
And it's a bit windy, but you're going to see this incredible gust
Just
coming
that you
in.
know,
Okay, so we're talking
I
a
just
bit.
I never found the right gloves. Really.
You can't see it, but the truck's behind us running with the heater on full blast.
You know, sometimes I come back into the truck, I can't move my hands anymore. But I just love it here. But you have to be really, really tough.
Yeah,
You know, really tough.
I guess so. It's not a tourist destination by any means. This is a blue collar hard hat town.
Yeah, and I often lie on the floor when I photograph my clothes are completely wet, covered with ice, and that's what you have to go through if you want to have good eagle
Yeah,
images.
that's
There's no
true.
shortcut here.
It's been really fun. I've been here so much of my life, but to see somebody with a different view on things, he's such a detailed person that he's getting portraits that are just amazing and teaching me a lot about camera work. So,
well, that's something I do want to say about Jack Molan. I mean, his experience as a captain certainly comes through. If you ever think you can just come to Dutch Harbor, it ain't easy. Simply, this is an industrial town, industrial city. Everything's industrial. Even if you go out of Safeway, they're laying out their nets, they're unknotting it, repairing it. Everything's industrial. It's heavy stuff. You can slide, you can hurt yourself, and you can't just go out on the docks. So I'm really fortunate to be out here with Jack Molan.
I make the joke to Christian all the time that Alaska really is a third world country with money. There's just so many inconveniences here that he just shakes his head. He can't believe, wait a minute, what century are we in here? And
they haven't invented the internet.
No, the internet is dial up super slow, break up all the time. So
It's wonderful.
you can see that wind line is starting to come in closer now with that squall. That's a friend of mine's boat out there. That's a factory trawler. They're just coming in from probably a 10 to 15 day trip. So anyway, we're going to go hunt for some eagles.
By the way, it's 10:30 now,
Yeah.
but we are west of Hawaii here. We are 166 degrees latitude.
Yeah.
And Hawaii's, I
Might
think,
have worked this way. Even that way.
is 156, right?
Yes.
And yeah, it's just incredible. So we are actually on Anchorage time, which is completely wrong, and that's why it's early in the morning still.
Look at the wind, folks.
Look at the wind, it's incredible here.
Here comes a gust. They call these willowaws here in Alaska.
Okay, I have to get back to the tripod.
There it goes! I'm sorry for swearing. You're right. I hope it all survived. That was.
Okay, now this terrible gust is coming in. Okay, so I was just watching the video. I wasn't watching my live broadcast, so that's about 30 seconds behind. So actually, what happened was the whole tripod fell down, and I was very I was very lucky. Nothing broke. Nothing broke, because if my equipment had hit the ice, it would be terrible. But this is a typical scene that you have from Dutch Harbor. Eagles in Dutch Harbor are a lot bigger in general. Okay, so that's an adult eagle, 6 years old bigger. Send that gust my way. I'll do that, Swamp 50-50. So this is really typical for Dutch Harbor. And in fact, the wind is so powerful. I mean, look at this. You can see the American flag is completely ripped apart here. And and the eagle survives. They're so tough, right? They survive in this type of weather, and no flag survives these type of winds. They are just so tough. And what was incredible when Jack and I were there, I'd love to go there. Yes, Jenny, it's quite a unique area. It's really unique, but it's very industrial. So we had a lot of opportunities. There's so much fish in the Bering Sea, so much pollock, as Jack Molan was explaining just about 2 hours ago when we had the technical issues in our stream. So it's the richest pollock region in the world, in fact. And so there was always plenty of fish, and that's why the eagles go there in winter. They have formed a symbiosis. They have formed a symbiosis, in fact, with the with the community, and so it's just full of fish, especially sort of between February and April. That is the best time, and I had plenty of opportunities to observe eagles flying, landing, and so on. I just wanted to show you some of the sequences that I took. Watch now. First, you're going to see a juvenile land. A juvenile is a young eagle, basically, between about 1 and 3, and then you'll see the adult doing the same thing. So here comes the sequence. So the juvenile's coming in, ready to catch some fish, and it's going down, and you can see typically they use their wings like a swing. So they're swinging on it, and it's just like you're sitting on a swing, and their talons going forwards. Now the coordination of that is very difficult to learn. They see the fish, but what happens to the young eagle, it doesn't actually land properly on the fish. It doesn't catapult it. The angle is not correct, okay? And it just seems to lift off again, but doesn't get enough swing. So it lifts off very, very slowly. Okay, you could see that. And here comes an adult. This is how it should be done. Same spot, an adult coming in, okay? The whole sequence now. And what you will notice is the adult is putting its talons much further up. It's taking a much better swing, and the coordination is perfect. So the touchdown comes, and it can actually use its momentum to lift off immediately. In fact, it was so clever; it could just take the the fish in one talon and then lift off again. Okay, so this is quite a sequence. So these are some of the things you can study there, and with my very fast camera equipment, it was an absolute joy. And then, of course, you have these large areas where the fishermen have to lay out the net, and it is a lot of work to disentangle the net and to roll it up correctly again. And there was a very old eagle just sitting there, and you can see Jack could work right up to the eagle, and he was laughing, and the eagle wasn't going away. It just came closer to me. It came so close that I had to refocus I had to use another lens. I couldn't, it was sitting right in front of me. In fact, I remember once Jack held his arm out, and a juvenile nearly landed on there. Okay, so it's amazing dexterity. Okay. Okay, very good. So, and that's the typical eagle image you get in Dutch Harbor. It doesn't matter whether you have a GoPro or whatever you have, but they usually look very wet. The weather changes dramatically in a very short time. And also, in front of a supermarket, there's so much fish. Stunning shots. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you. I think this was taken with my GoPro, if I remember correctly. No, this wasn't taken with my GoPro. This was taken with myself. And you can see Jack Molan walking in the background there, and just walking around the eagles. We were often about 10 feet away from the eagles, and they weren't scared at all. They're used to this. They're used to this, and they are very tough. And this was the same taken with my GoPro. My GoPro was sitting about 2 feet away from the eagle. Okay, you expect him to be hand-fed. Yeah, that's what they do. And they are tough. This eagle is about 4 years old, about 4 or 5 years. You can see he's still got a bit of black there, but it looks like a female, incredibly powerful, really sturdy. I'm so glad the broadcast is working well now. I wish it had worked like this earlier when I was, when I was talking with Jack. But you just have to excuse that he's traveling again. So. And then you get, of course, I mean, Dutch Harbor there's not much to do. It's very small there. Called urban fishing eagles, they are. And you get these beautiful images of just eagles sitting next to each other. And you can just take one dream shot after the next. There are hardly any trees in Dutch Harbor. It's very barren. And I'll talk a little bit about their nest structures later. So there are really about 5 to 10 trees in the whole of Dutch Harbor. It's very flat. And here you can see a juvenile, it's about 2 years old in front, and an adult in the back. Just really beautiful, just beautiful scenery. And then, of course, you get these incredible gusts of wind, and there's an eagle pair. And this is where they nest. They nest up on the flats on top. And you can see how big the wind is, but the eagles are very used to it. I mean, we used to really freeze. We were covered with thick jackets, but they would sit there in the breeze just with the most incredible gusts, which you have, these prevailing winds in the Bering Sea. So I think you get a good idea of what it was like. It was cold for a little while. Yes, it is. It is. And then, of course, these typical images for Dutch Harbor. Here is an adult. That's a little bit jerky coming across. Maybe that's not sure what's happening there. But never mind. I think you can see that. The adult is picking out the byfish from the net. Okay, and then most amazingly, you can get the incredible sequence. There was a fight between eagles, and one eagle was forced into the ocean, and they certainly don't like that. They try and avoid that as much as possible. So they try and fish as much as on land because it takes a lot of effort for them to clean their feathers. So they do this butterfly stroke, and I was able to take. Looks like the juvie was a male. Yes, I think you're right. So they take this butterfly stroke out, and you can see I got the whole sequence of the butterfly, and it is an incredible effort because they come in this butterfly and they have to lift themselves out of the water, which takes a lot of energy. And here it's lifting off, and as you can see, I got this beautiful sequence as it lifts off. It's almost like a float plane, only much nicer. And there we go. There it lifts off. Okay, there it lifts off. And then everywhere where you look up on the ships, you would see you would see eagles sitting there and always facing the wind. Okay, so this is so typical. It's so typical. I often had problems just to hold my camera stable. And this is another rather typical picture, a video on a ship, of course, and you have eagles coming in there, in and out. Sometimes the whole ship was just covered with eagles. Okay, so just all in the harbor. And then, of course, you get these incredible diversity. And then you get this incredible diversity of colors, of course, because you get all kinds of ages of eagles next to each other. So you could just take the most beautiful photography there. I just couldn't stop. In fact, I have so much media that hasn't been published yet. But I think you get a good example. And then, of course, you get you get these crab boxes, right? And the eagle sitting on there and pulling the crab fish out. So this is very typical. And then you would get this gust again of snow coming in, and then you would get beautiful weather in within 10 minutes again. It would just, the weather changed so quickly. No, they don't get caught in the nets. Actually, the nets are quite thick, so they usually I haven't seen any of that. They don't get caught in the nets. They're because they're so thick, they just they have to be very sturdy. And this shows you how close you can get to an eagle. I mean, you can see these enormous talons there, pulling out the pollock from the net. But I often was so close that I had to put in a shorter lens. My long lenses were too long. And then you get these, these interesting colors, because on the ships they would typically have these high-pressure sodium lights. Love seeing different ages together. Yes, that's right. Babes Bird Bonanza. That is right. And we get all the varieties here, and you can see the sort of the little orange, the sort of orange color of the of its hairdo here, and just incredibly good resolution everywhere. I mean, I just could not stop filming and photographing. And then you get these obscure scenes. There was an old sofa out there, and next to the sofa I called him Einstein, because when you went up close to him, he looked really like Albert Einstein in the wind. I actually posted one of these on the Weather Network, and it went completely viral. And of course there is so much fish, so that there's always opportunity to find eagles looking and fighting for fish. Okay, so this is just one of the many scenes, more and more landing. I remember at one stage we counted 50 eagles in the air. 50 eagles in the air just coming down on the fish, and sometimes the fish is near the harbor, sometimes it is dumped somewhere because they've got just such an abundance of fish, and they feed the eagles by that. So you always find a place where you can feed them. Meredith says, "This is the most exciting, wonderful show, Christian. Thank you." And Meredith, I wish I could show you this live. My dream would be to go to Dutch Harbor, show it live to you, but the internet is so terrible in Dutch Harbor, and it still is. It's impossible to broadcast, unfortunately. So that's why I have to show you I call it quasi live show, that I can explain things, read your comments, but I cannot go there and show you this live because the internet is not sufficient. And as the fish comes there, more and more eagles land. And eagles are very, very interesting. They don't feed all the time. They feed and then they rest. So there could be fish there and they wouldn't touch it. And then 2 hours later they would be hungry again. And suddenly you would find this whole congregation of eagles there again. I love to see the waddly. Yeah, they have a waddle walk, and it's really hilarious the way they walk. You're right. Yes, and then, oh my goodness, that must be a huge female. You get these really beautiful, I just couldn't get enough. I was usually lying in the snow with my camera, and with my huge lens, I was flying flat in the snow and just trying to get them at exactly at the same height. Yeah, and you can see how tough it is there. They're pulling out icy fish from the snow, but it's no problem. They digest this. So if you see the earlier video, you would have seen the Russian church too. I didn't show the Russian church again because I'd already shown it. But of course the influence there is very Russian, because, as you know, Alaska belonged to Russia. I think it was until, was it 1857, I think, or so, was when Alaska was then bought by the United States for a ridiculously low amount. Alaska was bought by the United States, yes. And they're very aggressive. I have this sequence. Usually the juveniles are very aggressive, but what I found in Dutch Harbor is the hierarchy is just immense. So here an adult is flying in. I had no idea what was going to happen, but just watch this sequence now. Coming in, I mean, where can you get such incredible images of an eagle landing right in front of you? But then something happened. Watch this. The talons are going out, and the one coming from the air always has the big advantage. And there come the talons, and look at that, full in the back of this juvenile, completely pressing it down. And oh my goodness, that got a beating. That got such a beating. This is an incredible sequence here. I have never ever managed to. There was a question whether you can see Russia from there. The answer is theoretically you can, not from Dutch Harbor, but from the islands that go closer. But there's always so much fog. So I think the closest distance to Russia must be about 20 miles or so, 10 to 20 miles. But there's always so much fog that you can't actually see Russia. Okay, so here comes this sequence. I just captured this complete, and this poor battered juvenile gets up and walks away. But that was a heavy beating. And this is on a ship, as you can see, and Jack Molan talking there and walking there, giving a lot of
the guys call it a bag.
explanations. He just knows every ship and everything.
And it's very robust. It's built out of some
we just had so much fun there.
This bag here probably
and this is another juvenile in the just feeding there in the ice. So that is just so typical of Dutch Harbor. And more would land. This is how we spent every day in Dutch Harbor. Christian, why didn't you help the kid? Right. You don't interfere with nature. They help themselves. What is interesting, you find all kinds of eagles, and that's really the final video I wanted to show. I didn't want to make this too long because with Jack I would have done this a bit longer. But what I will do is show, give the link to his book. So you can see there are some eagles. I don't know what happened to this eagle, whether this was a genetic mutation or whether it got some beating. But you can see it got a completely deformed beak. What is interesting is, of course, you learn to identify eagles there. Some have an eye missing, some have a strange feather color, some have, some just look... I'll just replay this one. Some just look deformed, but they all cope. Some have broken talons, but they all seem to cope. This is interesting. They all cope despite their handicaps. So eagles are incredibly tough. And I have lots of examples of eagles that have some kind of some kind of handicap. And that's really the final, that's just the final image I wanted to show you. I didn't want to make this too long. I have a big, maybe I should make a video one day of the whole adventure in Dutch Harbor. Because it's just so, so incredible. The quality is just superb of all the footage, and I've showed you maybe 5 to 10% of all my footage. I should just go on and on, but I don't want to make it too long because this is Susan says still nothing. Oh, she seems very frustrated. Yes, but I hate to be an eagle. Yes, you would hate to be an eagle. Okay. Well, thank you with that note. Thank you for for being here. And I just want to show you once again how tough it is there, that not even the flag survives the wind, but the eagles do. Okay, so on that note, have a happy Sunday. My apologies for the earlier problems. I will try and interview more people. Just to give you a quick glimpse of what I'm going to be doing. You're going to see a lot of high-speed photography, hummingbirds. You're going to see eagles taking off. That's what I'm going to concentrate a lot on. I've got this beautiful high-speed camera. If you haven't seen it, just look at my my live event that I did yesterday, and you can see how superb this camera is. I will continue to give you a lot of updates, and thank you and unique features, and thank you for supporting me. And you also just support by giving me a thumbs up. That helps me a lot, or a like, or just leaving a comment. And if you do watch any of my replays, just make sure you watch the whole commercial, because that's the few cents that I earned by streaming. Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you, Carol, Amanda, Klingon, Heather, Maggie, Osprey, Mama Amanda, Jackie, and all the others. Thank you so much for Meredith, for being with me. And I'm so glad this finally did work out, that I was able to stream this in the quality I can. And I will certainly, now that I know how to do it, rest assured there'll be a lot more interesting broadcasts coming. So thank you on that, and have a wonderful Sunday.